The approach that majority of the students take is to study as much syllabus as possible, to cover as many topics as possible, and that is how they think they will be able to score well in the exam. They will be able to get a good rank in the exam. But that is not how it actually works. The best way is not to study everything, but to study wisely what is important and what is most certain to be asked in the exam. Now, how do you understand what is going to be asked in the exam? Ideally, you cannot study the entire syllabus. You need to find out what has got a high probability of being asked in the exam. And that is how you study around it, you study that topic, you study topics related to that particular thing, and you make sure that you have studied of what has a very high chance of being asked. The important thing over here is to go through all the past year question papers, to do a good analysis of what is asked in the previous papers. That gives you an idea of what you need to study, what is extremely important, what is not important, so that when you sit down to study, you know what needs a lot of revision, what needs to be studied. This topic is important, and from that these all points are which are frequently asked. So that kind of understanding you will only get when you have gone through the past year question papers, and that analysis is important. Analysis of what is asked in the previous year questions. If you have not done that and you are aimlessly studying, you will feel that you are studying a lot, you are studying, you are putting in a lot of effort, but it is not actually helping, because you are just aimlessly studying some topic from this particular subject, some topic from neuro, some topic from ortho. You are beating around the bush, you are not targeting what is important. And the analysis is what majority of the students miss. Now, it is not easy. Obviously, it requires a lot of efforts to sit down and go through the past 10-year question papers and understand what is asked, but that is what is needed. And once you have done that, once you have written down what is important, what is not important, it actually makes things very easy for you. You understand that from orthopedics, from musculoskeletal, from neuro, whichever subject, these are the topics that are important, and I need to focus on them first. And then these topics are not just for you to study, they are for you to understand what next can be asked. So what is something related to this that can be asked next year? For example, if capsular pattern of certain joint is asked, it is very likely that in future some other joint, capsular pattern of some other joint can be asked. If some condition from occupational lung diseases is asked, then it has a very high chance of being repeated, some other disease being repeated. So on, you have to analyze what can be asked next. You just don't have to study the past year topic, but understand what can be the branching question from that. When you study in this way is when you will be able to understand what is asked, what is not asked, and that is how you will be able to score well. Again, just going through the past year question papers and very strictly just studying what was asked in the MCQ is not going to help. You will have to understand what can be the related topics that can be asked from that particular thing. For example, if carpal tunnel is asked, so other nerve injuries is something that you should be going through once. If hybrid muscles are asked, if 1 year a particular thing is asked, it has a very chance of being asked again in the paper. So if hybrid muscles are asked, you need to make sure that you go through if one is asked, you need to make sure that you know the list of all the hybrid muscles. So that is how, and you will get a hang of this, you will understand this by doing it again and again. So what you need to understand is that you need to analyze the past year question papers. Go through the past 10-year question papers, see what MCQs are asked, and what you need to do is understand from what topics those MCQs are asked. Again, not just blindly study those topics, but ask yourself question that what can be the related MCQs from this particular topic, what other related topic can be asked, what questions from some other topic that is related to it can be asked. When you study like that, you will be able to score well, you will be able to understand what questions can be asked, and that is how you will be able to get ahead of all the other students who are just aimlessly studying everything, who are just aimlessly trying to study some topics from here and there. And ideally it is not possible to study everything, so either you will study what is important or you will study what is not important. So this is the way, this is the best way to study what is important. You will be able to segregate what is not important and target on the most high yield topics.